Shalom, shalom. This is Amonute Tayac of Piscataway, your friendly neighborhood human, Sophia Spiritualite, the AmaruKhan Miriyam, and we're here with our Sagittarius New Moon conversation. Um, More than likely, I'll probably post this one to YouTube. I have this set up to do a presentation part and then a non-recorded discussion in case anyone has questions. So we'll try to get through this as quickly as we do normally. So we have the Sagittarius New Moon. It's actually at 6:35 a.m. on Tuesday Eastern. So this is going to be a new moon that occurs first thing in the morning as opposed to um, Tuesday night, which I'm not sure it makes that much of a difference, but that's just so you know. All right. So, of course, here's our new moon and our full moon schedule. This new moon is a continuation of the new moon in, or the full moon in Sagittarius, which was on the 3rd of June. So, if you think back to what you were working on in June, this is kind of like giving it a new life. New moon is a fresh start or ending. So, whatever has been revealed from the start of this new moon on June the 3rd, it'll be closing out in this time. And so for 2024, the new moon in, or the full moon in Sagittarius is going to be on the 23rd of May. So it's going to be a little bit earlier than it was last year. That looks like about a week or so earlier. Um, so whatever you ask for this time, you should expect to see it show up by the 23rd of June. I mean, of 23rd of May. I do believe that's right before Memorial Day. So, that time frame is when you would be expecting to see this stuff really showing up. And I also encourage people to keep records because it's really difficult to remember everything that's going on. But if you keep copies of the documents that you like the candle, what you write on the candles, what you write on your papers, keep records of that. I did come up with a sheet to keep the records on, but I'm still tweaking it a little bit. And once I have a good one, then I release it as a PDF so people can use it to keep track of what they got going on. All right, so always remember the new moon is about receiving. You want to receive the experiences that this particular energy has to offer, and the full moon is releasing any blockages to the experiences that that sign has to offer. And that's just a reminder for all of us because sometimes I forget. Now, this is in the PDF. Um, so, of course, if there's any this is basically the same every time. If you've already gotten one of the PDFs, it has this information in there. You can follow along with it. So I'm not going to spend too much time going through it. I will go through the angel over um, Sagittarius, but let me pull it up over here because it's a little bit small. I need to pull this up anyway. Where is it? Here we go. And so let me open it up so I can read it. Oh, why is it so large? I'm not quite that blind. All right. It's about here, right? Sagittarius. Okay, so the angel over this is Adoshiel, and the control and direction of the original legality of justice and equilibrium, i.e., the perfect harmony in the whole cosmic hierarchy in all spheres and on all planets of our universe, is in the hands of the ninth genius of the Jupiter sphere. The magician may be instructed by this genius in the highest wisdom and deepest mysteries of divine law, justice, and equilibrium. At the same time, no, not right now. At the same time, he is taught by Adoshiel to apply all laws of the universe by magic and Kabbalah without causing any disturbance in its equilibrium. So this particular energy that's coming in has a lot to do with justice, divine justice. Um, I would almost say like karma, everything being equalized, things being put in their proper order in a way that it doesn't mess everything else up. Meaning, like I always say, is like you don't have to destroy everything like in the process. You can allow things to stay, certain things to stay in order, keep the framework, so that you could just build on top of the framework, because it's my belief that the framework itself is not bad. It's that the problem with the framework is that the people who are running the framework are truly wicked. So in order to resolve that, what we want to do is just remove the wicked people, leave the framework, the rules and the way that they are written is not really an issue. An issue is the fact that people who are involved in it are causing problems. So we don't want to have anything like those people left, but at the same time, you don't have to destroy. You have to blow up the whole thing. Throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's so unnecessary. That's so unnecessary. So that's what we're dealing with this time. And then of course the one that has to deal with your house where your Sagittarius is. So, um, this is not a write, burn, and release. This is a write it out and post it, or I put it under my altar, fold it up. But this is a post and store your statement related to the house that your Sagittarius falls in, and put the paper on your altar. And then of course, you want to write on a candle. You can use purple or red. Um, I was planning on using purple, but I think I'm going to use red instead. Just to align with the shalom shalom, just to align with the energy of the quote unquote holiday season. I'm probably going to go with red. So, but you could use red or purple. Now remember, the new moon is on Tuesday morning, so you could do this. You could light your candle tomorrow. You could light it on Monday. You could light it on Tuesday. You can light it on Wednesday. You're still in full moon season. So don't feel like, oh, you got to rush out to the store tomorrow and it's the end of the world. No, you still have a few days. You just want to kind of get in that full moon season by, what is it, Thursday. It'll probably be closer to getting into the first quarter. So that's a little bit late, but definitely um, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, or even tomorrow. You can start burning your candle. Especially if you get the dollar store candle, those are 3-day candles. Um, and they're kind of a little bit easier. So this is the chart, of course, that I give out every session. You want to identify where your whole house Sagittarius is. You want to use the statement that goes along with this. This is basically, unless you live in like I hear, if you live in shalom, shalom. If you live inside some kind of really high elevation or something like that, you might need whole sign houses more often. But if you live in like a regular place, whole signs are not going to give you as much detail as you need. And of course, these are the hours. These don't change. You just have to figure out what hour correlates with what you're trying to do. So I did want to show you guys the moon. I mean the whole chart for this new moon. So as you can see, um, or let me point this out because this is going to come up when I talk about the angels over the degrees. As you can see, the ascendant on for this new moon is actually in Sagittarius. And then you have Mars, you have the moon, you have the part of fortune, you have the sun, all in Sagittarius. That's a lot of really heavy Sagittarius energy, and it's not really spread out. It's 11, 12, 13, 17, and 20. So really, this is really, really condensed energy. These planets are very, very close together. Um, I don't see any real like serious conjunctions. Although you do have like Venus at 9 degrees, of course the ascendant's at 11. That's close. Um, really not a lot of super close, even though it's a lot of stuff that's all jammed together. They're not really super close, which is um a little bit interesting as far as the planes are concerned. So, all right, let's talk about the angels. So, this time I actually did an example of how you could write your statements using these particular um angels. Now, these angels apply to everyone. I don't think I really ever like explained it, so that's why I'm just going to try to explain it in more detail because I tend to forget details when I'm trying to explain stuff. So these ones that I bring up, they apply to everyone because these are the ones like I just showed you in the chart that are actually in Sagittarius right now. These are the ones that are affiliated with those angels that's in Sagittarius. So these ones apply to everyone. And then if you look at your chart, you may have something in Sagittarius. I do not have anything in Sagittarius, so none of the other, I don't have anything else that would apply to me. So I'll pretty much be sticking to this list right here. So the descendant is at 11 degrees of Sagittarius, and as Golog, it says being an excellent initiator into the magic of evocation, which that's what this is. This head initiates the magician into secret methods concerning the evocation of all types of beings. He will reveal to the highly ethically developed spiritualite powerful spiritual words, which will force any being, no matter whether positive or negative, to obey him absolutely. The spiritualite may further learn from this intelligence about the synthesis of magical evocation. And that's what we're doing. This is synthesizing a lot of information and putting it into something that people can understand. This is not super complicated, making it extremely difficult. I know that's what a lot of people like, but I'm always trying to make it simple. And so that's literally what this guy does. He makes it simple so you don't have to, you know, go out into a crossroads at the middle of the night on, a Friday at on the third quarter moon and try to contact these entities. Like, no, that's really out of control and it's impractical. So this guy, he makes it simple, okay? Then you have Mars at 12 degrees of Sagittarius, and that's Ugali. And it says, being an initiator into the high spirituality, which leads to the highest wisdom, this head is hard to get in contact with, for he usually sends his subordinates to deputize for him. Only a virtually perfect spiritualite will succeed in getting into direct contact with Ugali. However, if the spiritualite has once succeeded in this, he has the best initiator into the highest magic, especially spirituality at his disposal, and will be initiated by him into the most secret sciences that reveal the highest wisdom. So this is the guy that everybody's trying to get into contact with right now because if you are able to get him to pay attention to you, then he will initiate you into the most difficult and the highest magic. So this is why you have, this is no joke. I even just looked online. They're having so many office holiday parties today. It is ridiculous. This is why you have everybody making sure that they sign over their birthright before this new moon so that they have all of this energy to take to this guy to convince him to initiate them into high magic. That's what they're doing. They're gathering energy so that they can literally get initiated into this stuff. And if they feel like if they're able to gather enough energy, especially from higher vibrational beings, then they'll be able to, really get this guy to pay them some attention. But again, as I keep saying, they don't want to work with those kind of people. It's a lot of consequences that come to them when they do this kind of stuff. So they're not really looking to work with the kind of people who would be, harvesting people's energy like that. They don't want to deal with that. It's too much backlash. It's too many potential issues. So, but that's what they're doing. So you'll see, like I said, all the way up until the new moon, they'll be trying to get everybody to get all riled up, get all upset, all, invested in any of their storylines. And I actually don't believe that it's working, for a number of reasons. But that's what they're going to try to do, get everybody involved. And then as these people get involved, then they'll try and just drag everybody into this energy thing where they just hand over their energy. But I do not believe that it's working. All right, you have the moon at 13 degrees of Sagittarius, and that's Elasan. Elasan. Anyway, this spirit intelligence is hard to contact. Now, mind you, this is the third one that's like, oh, it's hard to contact this guy. You know what I mean? Like, these are not, especially 12 and 13, these are not easy intelligence to contact. And you'll see why specifically AmaruKhan has their descendant or ascendant is at 12 degrees of Sagittarius. So that's for a reason, because they know this guy is really difficult to get in contact with. So they made sure to start their country with this guy on their descendant. That's not a coincidence. That's not by accident. That's because they want to have this guy chained to them like a ball and chain. Anyway, this spirit intelligence is hard to contact. If the spiritualite succeeds in doing so, in spite of this, this high initiator will reveal to him secret spiritual and Kabbalistic methods by which he will be able to realize all his high ideals. This is all Bardon said. This is not really saying a lot at all. This is not, but in conjunction with this, the 12 of Sagittarius, it is almost like he don't want to tell you exactly what he can do because of the high level that it's at. But basically, this is a guy you want to be able to get into contact with to help you achieve all your goals. This is why right now, especially between the new moon and the full moon, we have this whole Santa energy. Every year is these kind of spirits at this time that's lending this energy. So every year you're going to have this whole goodwill, this whole all this good stuff happening, or at least trying to happen. If people don't, let this this other energy interfere with them. Right. Okay. So the next one we have the part of fortune that's at 17 degrees of Sagittarius, and that's Harkinson. And it says all orphans, all the abandoned, expelled, and hated are under the special protection of this head. Depending on their karma, he helps them all bear their lot more easily and helps in all the cases which divine providence allows it. A spiritual light can get advice and help for people like these from this head. No, I need this for myself. Like, this is the guy who we have been abandoned, we have been orphaned by our ancestors, not on purpose, but we have been dropped off here and left behind. This is the guy that we need to help us with this. Like this is the guy who make sure that the load that we get is not too heavy. This is an extremely important energy to try to access. And I'll tell you again in a minute how I formed my questions or my requests. So the last energy in Sagittarius here is 20 degrees of Sagittarius, and that's Ichagi. And it says this spirit intelligence gives help and advice in case of malicious diseases like epilepsy, cancer, disease of the spinal cord, St. Vitus disease, dance, etc., the causes of which have not been found up to this date and which therefore are still regarded as incurable. Ichagi lets the spiritualite recognize the causes of severe and hidden diseases and at the same time entrust him with methods for the production of the approximate means to cure them. So this is the guy everybody is really looking for, because a lot of people have said that they do believe that cancer is going to be cured like in the next whatever amount of time. It could actually be cured now. All you have to do is really book a reading with a person like Hugh Reeves, who's going to go in there and find the spirit that's doing that thing to you. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. There's many different ways, many different healing modalities, and this guy is one that reveals them. So that's really, really good, really, really helpful moving forward. So this is a lot of reading. Of course, I'll send out the things so you can read it. But this is really, really critical because this particular spirit saint, not spirit intelligence, but this particular saint is actually um I just had to read it because when I was reading, I was like, oh my gosh, I was going to cut some of it off. I was like, no, I want you guys to hear the whole story. So, the saint over this new moon is Saint Spidrion, the wonder worker. And it says Saint Spidrion was born towards the end of the 3rd century on the island of Cyprus. He was a shepherd had a wife and children. He used all his substance for the needs of his neighbors and the homeless, for which the Lord rewarded him with a gift of wonder working. He healed those who were incurably sick and cast out demons. Now, mind you, I just said that this particular spirit intelligence that's over 17 degrees, I think was his name, Harkinson? No, Ichagi, that's exactly what he does. So I would say this is probably the office that Saint Spidrion went into. I'm going to note that in my book. So after the death of his wife, during the reign of Constantine the Great, he was made Bishop of Tremesius, Cyprus. As a bishop, the saint did not alter his manner of life, but combined pastoral service with deeds of charity. Like literally, he didn't give up the fact that he was doing all this stuff for these people in the community. He continued to do it. Plus, he just added on being a pastor. This is really important. According to the witness of church historians, Saint Spidrion participated in the sessions of the First Ecumenical Council in the year 325. At the council, the saint entered into a dispute with a Greek philosopher who was defending the Arian heresy. The power of Saint Spidrion's plain, direct speech showed everyone the importance of God's wisdom before human wisdom. Listen, philosopher, to what I tell you. There is one God who created man from dust. He has ordered all things, both visible and invisible, by his word and his spirit. The word is the Son of God who came down upon the earth on the account of our sins. He was born of a virgin. He lived among men and suffered and died for our salvation. And then he arose from the dead. And he has resurrected the human race with him. We believe that he is one in essence consubstantial with the Father and equal to him in authority and honor. We believe this without any sly rationalizations, for it is impossible to grasp this mystery by human reason. You see how simple that is? When you talk to these Christians out here, they cannot make it simple. They want you to stand on one foot, put your arm behind your back, believe all this is just what we believe. You don't have to go through all of this stuff. Like it's just this is the way that it is. It's the same thing with these angels. It's just the way that it is. You see, how this stuff is working in your life. What are you going to tell somebody? I don't know how it works. I can't tell you how it works. It just does. It's just the way that it is. And so instead of trying to explain every single thing, Christians could say this is just the way that it is. They can't do that though, because then that would it would put the focus back on where it belongs. All right. As a result of their discussion, the opponent of Christianity became the saint's zealous defender and later received holy baptism. After his conversation with Saint Spidrion, the philosopher turned to his companions and said, listen, until now my rivals have presented their arguments and I was able to refute their proofs with other proofs. But instead of proofs from reason, the words of this elder are filled with some sort of special power, and no one can refute them since it is impossible for man to oppose God. If any of you thinks as I do now, let him believe in Christ and join me in following this man, for God himself speaks through his lips. Because it's simple. I have been saying for a long time, the Most High is simple. It's not complicated. Everybody wants to make it complicated. Like I said, go to the crossroads at midnight and draw a big circle and make sure everyone's in it and say all this stuff and all of that. No, no, it's unnecessary. It's just as simple as writing down what you want on a piece of paper and lighting a candle. We are going to prove that. That's what the point of this whole thing is to prove that it's simple. You don't have to be from some special cult with some special training to write some stuff down and light a candle. It's not required. everybody wants to make it complicated, and it doesn't have to be. It's only because they want some kind of glory or whatever. Anyway, at this council, Saint Spiridon displayed the unity of the Holy Trinity in a remarkable way. He took a brick in his hand and squeezed it. At that instant, fire shot up from it. Water dripped on the ground, and only the dust remained in the hands of the wonder worker. There was only one brick. Listen to this, Saint Spiridon said, but it was composed of three elements. In the Holy Trinity, there are three persons, but only one God. That's so simple. The Shema, the Lord our God is one. It's so simple. Anybody could understand it when you put it like that, but they want to make it complicated so you can't understand it. Anyway, the saint cared for his flock with great love. Through his prayers, drought was replaced by abundant rains, and incessant rains were replaced by fair weather. Through his prayers, the sick were healed and demons cast out. A woman once came to him with a dead child in her arms, imploring the intercession of the saint. He prayed, and the infant was restored to life. The mother, overcome with joy, collapsed lifeless. Through the prayers of the saint of God, the mother was restored to life. Listen to this. The child died. Then the mother, and then he brought the child back to life. Then the mother died. Okay, all right. Don't you think we should be able to do stuff like that? Okay. I'm just gonna keep going because I'm just. At another time, hastening to save his friend who had been falsely accused and sentenced to death, the saint was hindered on the way by the unanticipated flooding of a stream. The saint commanded the water, "Halt, for the Lord of all the world commands that you permit me to cross so that a man may be saved." The will of the saint was fulfilled. He crossed happily to the other shore. The judge, apprised of the miracle that had occurred, received Saint Spiridon with esteem and set his friend free. This is the type of stuff we should be able to do. We should be able to just go into the court and say, "Listen, you need to release this person. What you're doing is wrong." We don't have, shouldn't even have to go into the court. We should be able to sit home and say, something is wrong about that case. They need to release that person, and boom, the person is released. That's what should actually be happening instead of this horrible stuff that's going on right now. Okay? Similar instances are known from the life of the saint. Once he went into an empty church and ordered that the lampadas and candles be lit, and then he began the service. When he said, "Peace be unto all," both he and the deacon heard from above the resounding of a great multitude of voices saying, "And with thy spirit." This choir was majestic and more sweetly melodious than any human choir. To each petition of the litanies, the invisible choir saying, "Lord have mercy." Of course, that's in the Orthodox liturgy. You always say, "Lord have mercy." So how's it go? Um, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Something like that. I just came from church and I can't, my brain is like frozen because there's a bunch of different tones. Anyway, attracted by the church singing, the people who lived nearby hastened towards it. As they got closer and closer to the church, the wondrous singing filled their ears and gladdened their hearts. But when they entered the church, they saw no one but the bishop and several church servers, and they no longer heard the singing, which had greatly astonished them. So they heard it from the outside, but not from the inside. That's very interesting. Saint Simeon, the author of his life, likened Saint Spiridon to the patriarch Abraham in his hospitality. This is really important. This is why I read this whole story. Solomon, in his church history, offers an amazing example from the life of the saint of how he received strangers, one at a time. The start of the 40-day fast. Now, mind you, the Orthodox do two 40-day fasts. The one that they're currently doing right now is called the Nativity Fast, and then they have the Pascha Fast, which starts shortly after one that we do start. Maybe it starts before. We start on the 1st of February. I think it starts shortly after the one that we do. So anyway, a stranger knocked at his door. Seeing that the traveler was very exhausted, Saint Spiridon said to his daughter, "Wash the feet of this man so he may recline to dine." But since it was Lent, there was none of the necessary provisions. For the saint partook of food only on certain days. On the other days he went without food. His daughter replied that there was no bread or flour in the house. Then Saint Spiridion, apologizing to his guests, ordered his daughter to cook a salted ham from their larder. After seating the stranger at the table, he began to eat, urging the man to do the same. When the latter refused, calling himself a Christian, the saint rejoined, "It is not proper to refuse this, for the word of God proclaims, unto the pure all things are pure." Listen, this is why this whole discussion of meat and what not to eat and all this stuff is irrelevant. If you're a pure person, what you consume is pure. It's made pure by your partaking in it. And this ties in with the whole Abraham thing, because the video I did, that long video on what was it? Ocoscalis and Azazel, we use the prayer of or we're using the promise made to Abraham as Abrahamic humans to get part of, whatever it is that's promised to us as Abrahamic humans, not under the promise made to Jacob, but under the promise made to Abraham, because that's an even older promise. The promise made to Jacob is very specific to the 12 tribes, but the promise made to Abraham is specific to all of Abraham's heirs, which is a larger group of people. And since we were just talking about that, the fact that this came up was like, okay, that was definitely like on the right track. That was definitely important. So again, I think I posted it on my community page, that invocation that Yael Yael Yo Yehoel, yeah, Yehoel taught Abraham when he went to make his sacrifice at the top of the mountain. So anyway, that's why that was really important. Um, let's see. Another historical detail reported by Sozomen um, was characteristic of the saint. It was his custom to distribute one part of the gathered harvest to the destitute and another portion to those having need while in debt. He did not take the portion for himself, but simply showed them to the entrance of his storeroom. Listen to this, where each could take as much was needed and could pay it back later the same way without records or accountings. This is the same thing that Job was doing, letting people come in, take what they need, and not stressing them out about paying it back and all of that. This is the same thing what Job was doing. Um, listen to this. There's also the tale by Socrates Scholasticus about how robbers planned to steal the sheep of Saint Spiridion. They broke into the sheepfold at night, but here they found themselves all tied up by some invisible power. When the morning came, the saint went to his flock, and seeing the tied up robbers, he prayed and released them. For a long while he advised them to leave their path of iniquity and earn their livelihood by respectable work. Then he made them a gift of sheep, and sending them off, the saint said kindly, "Take this for your trouble, so that you did not spend a sleepless night in vain." Is that crazy? I mean, think about that. These men came to steal his sheep. The angel stopped them, he counseled them, and he still ended up giving them the sheep. Like, just go ahead on. I mean, this is the kind of giving that our people today could not understand. I could get it. I totally understand it. But a lot of people, if they were given the option to engage in this type of giving, they would not be able to do it. They would feel like they had to keep records, they had to get some return. Their return was coming from some physical man. And this is kind of like a reminder that what you get in return, it doesn't come from these men. Even if the people give it back to you, that's fine. But really, you're storing up, as I always say, your treasures in heaven. This is your blessings that you're storing up. So when you need something, why do you think the angel stopped the people from stealing the sheep? They knew he was going to give them the sheep anyway, so why would they stop them? To give him the opportunity to evangelize to them, to talk to them about their behavior so that they could change their ways. That is what he wanted, an opportunity to influence them into engaging in better behavior and then being the example that they should also take and set for others of how to do this thing the right way. That's more of what we need, but it's only going to come when we trust God the way that Saint Spiridon trusts God, right? So he was not the next couple paragraphs talk about some other stuff. He was not martyred, so he's one that he lived to the fullness of his life and whatnot. So and this is a guy who's over our new moon. So imagine, how much knowledge and wisdom and access that we have over oh, I forgot to change this one. Anyway, I'll email it out to y'all so you'll see it. So, moving on. This is the civil chart. I call it the civil chart. They call it the Sibley chart. But anyway, this is the USA chart. So I just wanted to point this out. You can see that. Let me see. I think they got Sagittarius in the first house because it's on there. Oh, I can't. I don't think it lets me highlight or anything like that. But anyway, um, American has uh Sagittarius in their first house because it's on their ascendant, and as you see, it's at 12 degrees, and then they don't have anything else in Sagittarius. So this is my example of how I will do the candle and the paper, the quest that I do for America. So, as you can see at the top, I have the candle language. This is just what I'm going to write on the candle. So for Adashiel, remember that's the angel or spirit intelligence over Sagittarius. So I would say, please help the daughter of Zion and the American people restore equilibrium by bringing about divine law and justice. And that has to do with what Adashiel does, brings about equilibrium, divine law, and justice was the key words that stuck out to me. So for Golog, I say, please help the daughters of Zion and qualified initiates, because we don't know exactly who the daughters of Zion are, and it does specifically mention with this entity about qualified initiates. So, or people who are qualified, the what wise and prudent or whatever spiritual light or magician he says. Okay. Please help the daughters of Zion and qualified initiates evoke all the necessary spirits to properly restore the American homeland and the American people. I never say the American government, by the way, because I don't. It's not about the government. It's about the people who are here, who are living here, um, who are positively oriented, which is why I said the people, not the invaders or the foreigners, but the people who are here, who have been here for long enough, and the homeland, the actual land itself in this case, because we do know that a lot of the land needs to be brought back into equilibrium, especially due to all of the what are those things, the spills and the other weird things that are going on that are causing the actual land to sort of be off kilter. And even like I was watching a weather thing for this week, and the weather is going to be like above normal, but then you still have like this possibility for these tornadoes. It was a big tornado, I think, in Nashville and in New Orleans. So it's like a lot of like kind of extreme weather going on. So we need that kind of stuff to be balanced out. So for Ugali, I put, please help the daughter of Zion and qualified initiates teach the American people wisdom. These people in this country have no wisdom at all. They see stuff, they don't understand what it means, they misinterpret everything. What is that? Ability to understand, reading comprehension is at an all-time low. These people can't comprehend anything, and they don't. What I say, they're not standing on business. They're standing on marshmallows and falling all over the place. Like these people are just some of the most weakest minded people I've ever seen. And so we need a divine intervention to be able to bring these people back up to some proper standing. We're the laughing stock of the world, not just from our military, but the literal people here have nothing going on in their brains. They can't function. And so somebody has to say enough is enough. Let's get y'all functioning like regular humans again and not like monsters or whatever it is they're doing right now. So to go along with that, the next guy, Eleison, I said, please help the daughter of Zion and the American people realize their positively oriented ideals. Again, the actual Constitution document itself was written perfectly. There's lots of very good stuff that's in there that if it were applied, we would not be having these problems that we're having right now. The problem is the stuff in the Constitution was immediately subjugated by the British. And so none of it was ever applied the way that they said it was. And then they lied to everybody about it. And so people are out here believing, hey, America is so great because we've got this Constitution and all. And they break the Constitution every minute of every day. So if we just actually got to follow the Constitution, you should read it. It's really not a problem, especially the part that they took out about the 13th Amendment, with the 13th Amendment saying that no bar officers can serve in elected office. We should not have any lawyers serving in elected office. Those are British agents. They should not be in elected office. But that's kind of like the missing or the hidden 13th Amendment. I think anyway, I had read about that a few years ago. All right, so the next one, Harkinson. I'll say please. Oh, and I do always say please when I ask for stuff. And I'm asking them to help as like a friend, like a brother, like a whatever, not like they're someone who's better than me. No, they just have different skills than me. Their skill set is very specified. So I'm asking specifically for them to help with what they're specifically good at. Not that I don't believe they can do other stuff. That's not what it's about. What it's about is maintaining the status of the relationship, meaning they're not above me, they're not below me, they're not like a servant that I can order around. I've got to be respectful, but at the same time, I'm going to be asking for exactly what I want them to do and let them do it to the best of their ability, because I also know that Bardon's book probably has some stuff that's kind of not right in it. So I want to be kind of general enough until I know how that energy actually works, right? And so by the time next year comes around, you probably will know how some of these energies work. You can make your questions a little better, but these questions are general enough that they can I will be able to track how they show up, basically. Because this is like an experimental year. This is like, okay, how do these things actually work? Because we can't trust everything we read in Bardon's book. And we don't have a second source. So we kind of have to just see how it works. Please extend a special level of protection to the daughter of Zion and the American people who do not know their heritage and have been abandoned by their ancestors. The reason why I put it like that is because both blacks and whites and everybody else alike have been abandoned by their ancestors. The people who know their lineage, 9 times out of 10, they have been lied to as well and told one thing that was not true. Especially these natives, especially these like Mexicans and stuff. Everybody's been told stuff that's not true, and so we're sorting through a whole it's like if somebody said, I heard one time someone use the example of if I had a bowl of M&Ms and I mixed it with Skittles, like ew, like you'd have a handful of half M&Ms and half Skittles, like that's disgusting. That's what we're doing right now. You got to sift through this bowl of M&Ms and Skittles and find all the Skittles of your same color and try to make a story out of it. Meanwhile, you got M&Ms pretending to be Skittles, Skittles pretending to be M&Ms, half colors, switching, all kinds of crazy stuff. You can't follow the story. Now my nose is running. This is crazy. You can't follow the story. So that's everybody is been abandoned by our ancestors. And I don't think that our ancestors did it on purpose. This is not blame, but we've all been abandoned by them because they're not really here to help. They were kind of tied up with some other stuff. They got lied to themselves. It's a lot going on. So we have to say, okay, we have been abandoned by our ancestors. We have to really like admit it and own up to it and say, all the things that these people should have done to help us, all the clues they should have left us. They left us some stuff, but not enough for us to really put it back together. It's really taking the spirit coming in and putting stuff back together for us to even have an understanding. So that's why I phrase it like that. Okay, so the next one, Ichagi, I say, please reveal, ooh, that's supposed to be reveal, to the daughter of Zion and the American people. Is that reveal? Wait a minute. Please reveal to the daughter of Zion and American people understand how they can what? Please help. What? Reveal? Wait a minute. Parents will understand how they came to be vessels for disease and the message of. Okay, I don't know what that R word is, but I'm going to say, please help the daughter of Zion and American people understand how they came to be vessels for disease and methods for curing those diseases. See, if people don't understand how they're carrying around all these different spirits on them, if they don't really have the wisdom deep down inside to understand that the disease disease is a result of something that they did or maybe even they didn't do, but something that is attached to their body and that they are responsible for removing it. If they don't understand that that is the process and that these drugs cannot do anything because they're just mimicking what happens in nature, so you really have to go back to nature in order to find the real solution, if that's even necessary, because sometimes all that's necessary is identifying that you have the problem and where the problem came from. It depends on what the problem is. So they need to understand how they became the vessel for disease and then how to actually cure that disease. And so for Saint Spideron, I've done a whole long article for him. I just said, please pray for healing and restoration of the daughter of Zion in the American homeland. For you specifically, you can ask him for something specific, especially that was mentioned in that story, if you have something that's specifically related to that. I haven't done mine yet, so I don't know what I'm going to say, but I just said for America, his prayers actually cleared up the land, was able to restore life where there was death. We just, in general, we need a reset of the land. The land is been so trashed by these people that we just need a hard reset for the land and for our waterways and all of that, because of all the stuff they've been putting in the sky, all the stuff they've been putting in the water, all the stuff they've been putting in the grass, all the stuff they've been putting in the animals. We just need a hard reset. So that's why I just asked for him for America. Look, just please pray for healing and restoration of the American homeland. That's really what's important, and for us as well, right? So that's all that I put on the candle. So on my piece of paper, I will put I am receives increased access to swift action, raw energy, beginnings, influence, leadership, enthusiasm, and strength. And then I will talk about things on the paper that are related to um Malchadel, what he's actually good at. So for Americarian, I would say, please give the American homeland a new beginning. Please make the American homeland the leader in true clean energy, the leader in true human rights, or the leader in true enthusiasm, and leader in true strength, not this fake strength that they're trying to prop up. You know what I mean? I fill up my whole page, ask for stuff. After I do my I am statement, I phrase things in different ways that I find to be that I can specifically talk about, right? So again, here you have your deposit slip. And so remember, this is not a right burner release. You want to write this down. You want to stick this on your altar. I was just to make the two copies, write the same thing on both of them, and keep one for my records, and then the one goes on my altar. Oh, I forgot to change the page over here. Come on now. Here we go. The deposit slips and stuff, so y'all can take I'll include this in the email too that I send out. But like I said, I put the name of the angel who's over the slice that you're in. So in this case, for AmaruKhan, it's the first house, which is Machadel. Um, okay, and okay, okay, it's not gonna go away. That's so confusing. Okay, so I put the name that's over it, and then on the open part, I put my I am statement, and then I'll fill the page up, like I said, with other things that are relevant, but not necessarily more specific to whatever it is that I'm having an issue with related to what that house is or something that I've been thinking about. Um, so if anyone has any questions, you can ask them here. You can hold on to them. I'm going to open up a chat session. There's another meeting room, but if no one has any questions, then I'll let you all get back to your evening. Um, uh, I hope everyone kind of understands what's going on, how this is working. I'll try to remember to go into more detail like I did for this one. Another we probably I'll probably do this for this month, and I'll do it for January because by the time I get into February, my energy is not going to be as good. So this is like if you have questions, you really don't understand stuff, you want me to go into specific detail about certain things, you have questions about your chart, whatever the case may be, now's a really, really good time to get those questions in. You don't want to put them in the chat. You can also email them to me and I'll get back to you. My energy is really good from now until February, and in February it's going to be kind of iffy, and it's going to trail off into some energy that I'm not really sure how I'm going to manage yet, and I'm going to be in that energy for like 3 months. Um, 3.5 months actually was 90 uh almost 100 days. I think it's 100 days. So I'm trying to get like the more sociable parts of whatever it is I need to do done now. Just because I know that last year I didn't do so well with that energy. And I don't really want to put that energy on anyone else because it's assigned to me, not to y'all. So if there's no questions, I'll just go ahead and end the session. And of course, if you have any questions, just let me know. Like I said, I'll be emailing this out. The other session has been already scheduled, and I'm going to do a masterclass for the tarot spiral. That's going to be probably the first week of January. I am going to schedule that before this Mercury retrograde on Tuesday, so that'll just be added to the list of whatever things. So I hope everybody is ready. Get your game face on. We have a great 2 weeks coming up, and I think things are going to really get good, and they're going to get really good really fast from here. So shalom, everyone, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. You're welcome. You're welcome. Welcome. Shalom.